Oh, hello, good morning, my darlings. Okay, welcome back for Amanda's part five series in A Day in the Life. Well, no, actually, it's not right. Not in A Day in the Life, but you know what I'm trying to say. The life of Amanda's adventures on planet Earth. Um, so yesterday or the day before, I left off with just being like, I gotta be over with New Brunswick. My friend and I just got in the car and just went west, and we had no idea what we were doing or what was to happen. We just had a lot of passion and dumb luck and lightheartedness and just freedom in our hearts. And so yeah, one part that I like left out is so the summer that I did leave New Brunswick, I was playing for Fredericton. No, was I playing for Fredericton? I was coaching Fredericton, or helping assistant coaching like the backs of the Fredericton Loyalist rugby club team, whatever. And I had a lot of fun, and we had yeah, just a lot of adventures, and it was really great to have that community of rugby again. Um, and the atmosphere of like going to the clubhouse and drinking, and I made some friends with some really great people, and my really dear friend Sarah, she lived there. So I have two friends, Sarah. One is one's older than me and one's the same age as me. And the older one, she had gone to university in Fredericton, and so she lived there. And it was really great because we had to spend so much more time together. And that was like one of the intentions that I made for myself, is that I want to spend as much time with this Sarah before I leave. Like, we were diehard friends in high school and middle school. And if I'm moving out west, then I want to get my fill. So I had a lot of fun with that rugby team. And up until this point, I had been really only dating girls, like really only dating girls. And like the year in between leaving St. FX and heading out west, I had like done a small little distance relationship with a girl in Quebec. And yeah, just at this point, I was just really not confused. I was just like, it's a lot different when you're in university, and there's a lot more opportunity to engage with. Like, I was on the rugby team, like there's a soccer team, there's just like a lot more lesbians like right in your immediate like field of attention. And so when I left, I was like, I had yeah, met some people at a rugby tournament. um, and yeah, I dated this girl from Quebec for like a second, and that was really great. But it was just like, how, like, it's not gonna work at all. But I made some really awesome friends in Montreal, and anyway, so that summer, when I was coaching the Loyalists, I met this guy, and there was like a lot of like chemistry, but he had like a girlfriend, and yeah, we just got along. It was really nice because it's like we had a lot of similarities and stuff. So it was really nice to have like a guy friend again, because for a long time I didn't have any guy friends at all. And yeah, I remember it was like my last game that I was coaching there, and then I was like heading to out west like 2 days later, and it was really interesting because this guy, we just were at this party, and we had so much chemistry, and we were talking, and like his like psycho girlfriend like shows up in a taxi and like freaks out at us. And I was like, yo, I'm like not that kind of person, and there's no way that like I'd like do anything with your boyfriend. Like, we're literally just sitting here talking. And yeah, it was super funny because he like literally broke up with her like right in front of me, and I was just like, oh, well, crazy. That's something I wasn't expecting. Anyway, we like hit it off, and then I moved out west, and it was really cool because like we talked lots, and like we were just like, I don't really know. Like, I'm on this adventure to go out west and like do me, because I feel like up until this point I'd like done the rugby, I had gone to university, and I feel like I never really asked myself what I wanted and what I wanted to really do. And well, that's a lie. I did, but when like the rugby dream got pulled out from underneath me, it was like, wow, like, is that really what I wanted all along? Like, have I been resisting? Like, or did I just need to go through the pain of that whole thing? And anyway, so I moved out west and I like went to Shambhala and like ended up moving to Fernie and meeting a ton of people. And I was just like, for the first time in a while, I just felt like that was home, and like I got to make the decisions and I got to like do what I wanted to do, and I had set the intention for myself, because at this point I'm still very 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 shy. Like in certain atmospheres and groups of people I'm very outgoing, but if I don't know you and I have this real distance to warm up to people because I'm highly energetic and I take on a lot of stuff, and then I usually take on the mothering figure and put a lot of people in front of myself. So this is a perfect time for me to just be like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I want to go hiking. I want to go to music festivals. And at this point, when I was fresh living in Fernie that summer, like this guy and I from the East Coast were still talking lots and talking lots. And I was like, and this is me, like, I want to figure things out. And so I was like, I don't want to be talking to this guy if he's on the other side of the planet. Well, the country. And so it was really funny. I was just like, hey, F this, I need to figure it out. So I bought him like a plane ticket and he came out to visit for a week. And it was like awesome. Anyway, so fast forward, like he ends up moving to Fernie and we dated for just under 2 years. And it was a really interesting time. Like we had some ups and downs in Fernie. Like I started serving. I've never served a day in my life because I just said to myself, I'm like, I really, really, really want to expand my comfort zone. I want to level up my interpersonal skills, my like just people in public and talking. Because and I remember like the first table that I served, I was like petrified to go up and like talk to this young girl. I'm pretty sure she was probably like 13, and she's just like, why are you so nervous about serving me a burger or whatever? But then then I got like this groove into this groove, and I really started to feel like I was at home and stuff. But there was, when you date someone, like I hadn't dated a guy for like ever, like I dated like one guy in high school, and that lasted like no time at all. But this is like my first long-term relationship, healthier one. But when you jump into new relationships, like you had like both of your inner childs like meet, and there was a lot of stuff coming up, and a lot of stuff around family, and a lot of stuff about like, oh, just prioritizing, other people. And that's the thing. Like I felt like I like ended up carrying this person. And so after just under 2 years later, we broke up, or I broke up with him. And it was interesting because at that time, like the person that the girl that I moved to Fernie that I knew from university, like she ended up moving. So many friendship things changed. But once I broke up with this person, I finally actually feel like I landed in Fernie. So it was like 2 years into like moving to Fernie that I really, really, really feel like I landed in myself, because I was like, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have anyone that I have to like show up for, except for like my boss that I work with at this restaurant, and I adored her. And like, so a lot of things shift. I shifted restaurants. I ended up working at this bar, and it was as if I had been like this for my entire life, like extremely guarded and extremely like self-conscious of my body, extremely just that like, what are people thinking of me kind of thing. And when I broke that tie in that relationship, so many things changed. And so in that 2 years of my first 2 years of living in Fernie, I didn't really ski. I kind of got caught up in this relationship. I was still really, really shy. When the summers came, I still went to Shambhala. I still went to Base Coast. I still went to like camp and stuff. Actually, I think at that point I went to Coachella. I went to Coachella once or twice. No, I went to Coachella once. I went to Bonnaroo a couple more times. Went to Shambhala. and went to 𝐏𝐚𝐫𝐭, and I had been to Shambhala like, I don't know, like 6 or 7 times by this point. I don't even know. Anyway, but I broke up with this partner, and then I had tickets to go to Burning Man. And this is something that because like when I get my mind on doing something, it's like you can't get in my way. So I had these tickets to go to Burning Man, but I had planned to go with this partner of mine, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. But I asked my best friend Sam to go with me, and I will hands down say that 10 days or whatever it was, like the festival is actually like 8 days, I think, beginning to end. And so you got your 2 days travel time, your 2 days travel time. But that 12 days or whatever, that absolutely changed my life. Absolutely changed my life. My friend Sam, and I don't even think he'll ever watch this, he gave me the permission slip that I needed to own my femininity, to own my sexuality, and like not like in an intimate way or anything. He just like he's very liberated in himself and like dressing up and stuff like that, but like I was always very conservative, and I always I like okay, wearing fishnets was like, oh my god, my I have anxiety around that. And so I went to Burning Man, and we had like all stopped in like a couple of these shops and got all these like outfits, and I was like, oh my god. And I remember the first day of Burning Man, I came out in like Lululemon like shorts and like a sports bra, and then I think I had a fancy vest or something. And he's like, what are you wearing? And I was like, and he's like, I know that you have like a corset in there. I know you have those booty shorts. I know you got the Doc Martens. I know you've got like the fishnets. And he's like, change. And he was like so adamant. He was just like, change. And he had this like funky glasses and like all this stuff. And anyway, by the end of that day, I was literally like naked on the playa, which is like the desert. And I had met so many people. I had so many heartfelt conversations. There was so much like, there was that like, I don't know if the word's ogling, but like when you get like catcalled and when you get just like stared at. When I was like a kid, I had so much trauma around that because I was an attractive kid and I looked way older than I was. And so I had a lot of trauma there, and it like this rapidly healed that, because if you've ever been to Burning Man, it's just radical self-expression. It's radical self-reliance. It's like community, and it's like take care of others and take care of yourself. And like I, for the first time, was just seen as a human being, and I was seen in my nakedness and my rawness, and there was nothing creepy about it. There was nothing weird about it. There was just like nothing but like consent. And like if I wanted to make out with someone, it was like, may I make out with you? And if it was like, wow, and if I got any compliments, it was like I could just feel like the energy behind that, like, you have really nice breasts. And I'm like, thank you, you know? And it wasn't like they were going to take anything from me, because that was like the trauma that was still there, was that like guys want to take something from me. And yeah, I came back from Burning Man, and I remember I went on a tear, and was like, Amanda's back with the boys. And I just like I had the first like actual empowered experiences. There was a lot of alcohol consumption. I mean, I worked at a bar that was, closed at 2 o'clock in the morning. I wouldn't get home until, 3. And then I would be up at 7:30, 8 o'clock to make it to my breakfast job. And so it was a wild time. There was very little sleep, but I just like, if there was anything going on, I was there. If there is any like, and the thing about Fernie is you bike around on your bike, you go to the grocery store, and like you're in between the grocery store and your house, and you see your friend, and they're like, you want to come over for dinner? And then that escalates to like dropping acid and being up for like 2 days. And yeah, I went to all of the music festivals. I went to Burning Man. I've been to Burning Man like what, 6 times now. I've been to Burning Man, Shambhala, Lightning in a Bottle twice. Lightning in a Bottle is amazing. Base Coast, like little festivals like camp, and little like bush raves. And I was like, this was the time in my life where I feel as though I finally landed into the essence of who I truly am as a person and a being, a human being, not a human doing on this planet. And I made amazing friendships, not based on like teammates or sports. I just like, I called them in, you know, and they were just really authentically fabricated. And I remember realizing all of my friendships have been like through necessity or through like circumstance. Like, oh, you only have like 10 people in your class in high school, so you kind of have to be friends with these people. Not to, that came out wrong, but you know what I mean, like it's like that. But when Fernie, I guess what I'm trying to say is Fernie is this hub for people who are like freedom seekers, adventure people, want to just be super active, are really open to experiencing new experiences and taking substances, and you know, just partying and like just give no f's. And yeah, I really, really found myself there. I obviously had lots of like emotional ups and downs. I had hurt my knee again. I had like changed living situations and a lot. And the thing is because it created such profound human connections and like an amazing group of really healthy sisterhood relationships. The last year that I was in Fernie, like five of my closest girlfriends left Fernie. And that last year, I remember just being like, whoa, like this is super different. And I was just like, well, okay, I feel like I need to leave here because the thing is, it's a suck hole. You like, because there is so much opportunity for fun and human connection, it's intoxicating. And so I was always spending, I got to the point where I was like, I'm spending too much time with other people. I'm spending too much time having fun. I'm spending too much time drinking. I'm spending too much time, you know, experimenting with drugs and hallucinogenics and like getting lost in the forest and having all of the fun and having all of these just spiritual awakenings. And that last year I really got into yoga, and that was like my saving grace. And it was, and I got into meditation, and it was my first experiences with meditations were just like horrible. I remember just being like angry the entire time. um but then at that point, I, you know, I'd had hooked up with like a bunch of people and had all of the fun. But there was this one person who we'd been like basically booty call buddies, and yeah, there was just a point where that switched, and there was more there, and it was really, really amazing because I think that was the first time that I had like the chemistry and the like everything fit. Like up until this point, all my relationships, it's like, oh, we intellectually get along, but like the heart's not there, or like we have extreme physical connection, but like my there's this weird feeling in my gut, or like my head's overactive. And this was just like, wow, we just like were like this. But the shitty part about that was that it was 3 months of absolute bliss, and then he left Fernie. He went overseas, back home. And so I made that decision at that point where I was like, I got it. It's time. It's time. I've never really lived anywhere longer than 4 years. It's like the same thing that happened in university. Is like I tried to do any more than 4 years, and it was just like no. And so I said to myself, I am going to go down to the United States, and I'm going to trim marijuana. I'm going to make a ton of money, and then I am going to do a 10,000-kilometer road trip across the United States, up the East Coast, leave my car in New Brunswick, and then I'm going to fly to Bali. And I'm going to do this sisterhood, and I'm going to do this spiritual year-long mastermind that I spent like $16,000 on. Some of the spiritual and coaching industry isn't worth the money, but at that point, I it it didn't matter. I was looking for connection. I was looking for like people who were sober, and I was looking for like people who can help me level up and really get into the nitty-gritty of who I am. So, and then I spent some time in Bali. And then yeah, I took off to Australia, and I spent just under a year in Australia. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it today. But that year in Australia, I was completely sober the entire time, and not the entire time. I had a couple of drinks and stuff like that in there, but yeah, I will end it there because I know that I will be off for another 20 minutes. So, much love, my darlings. Thank you for being here and listening. So I'm going to end.